Great Patriotic War Museum in Minsk Belarus. The Belarusian State Museum of the History of the Great Patriotic War was the world's first museum to tell the story of the bloodiest war of the 20th century, and the only one in Belarus created during the years of Nazi occupation. Today it is one of the most important and biggest war museums in the world, along with the well-stocked museums in Moscow, Kiev, and New Orleans. In those terrible years Belarus lost every third resident. More than 3 million people died, including about 50,000 partisans and underground fighters. Throughout the country there were 250 death camps, including the infamous Trostenets, one of the largest after Auschwitz, Majdanek and Treblinka. History of the museum. The collection of the world's first museum of the Great Patriotic War was founded in June 1942 when no one could predict how long the war would last. Future exhibits were sent directly from the front lines to the Special Republican Commission, which was set up to collect the documents and materials about the Great Patriotic War. The commission was working out from Moscow, where it was evacuated to during the war. Among the museum's first assets were the chronicles about the partisan movement, printed and handwritten books, handmade weapons. For nearly 6 months there was gap in the front line near Vitebsk, the so-called Vitebsk Gate. Valuable items, material evidence of the atrocities of the enemy were brought through it to Moscow and were put on display in the State History Museum. In November 1942 the Muscovites saw an impressive exposition titled as Belarus Lives, Belarus is Fighting, Belarus Will Remain Soviet. It stayed open until August 1944 when it was moved to the liberated Minsk. The museum, the guardian of the memory about the courage and tragedy of the Belarusian people, was given one of the few intact buildings in the destructed and looted Minsk. It opened to the public on October 22, 1944. The first expositions about the weapons of the partisans and military print media grew bigger with new rarities. Already in 1944 the museum workers explored the place of the Trostenets death camp. In 1949, they participated in the first excavations in the heroic Brest fortress. In 1966, the museum moved to a building specially built for it in the central square of Minsk, now Oktyabrskaya Square. A unique open-air exposition of military equipment and weapons was opened in 1977 next to the museum. New museum building. New museum building. Over decades of research into the Great Patriotic War, the museum's collection has grown many times. Even now it gains 700-800 priceless rarities every year. In the 21st century, upon the initiative of the Belarus president, plans were made to create new premises for the museum that will boast more exhibition space and modern technologies to tell and demonstrate more facts about the tragic war. Prominent Belarusians took part in designing the premises, including co-author of the designs of the Minsk Railway Terminal and the National Library, professor of the International Architecture Academy Viktor Kramarenko, and also Leonid Levin, one of the creators of the famous Kadin Memorial, an honored architect of Belarus. The renewed museum was solemnly opened on July 2, 2014 on the eve of Independence Day and was kind of a tribute to the 70th anniversary of Belarus liberation from the Nazi invaders. Panorama of the Pope de Tele Avenue. Procession on Independence Day. The magnificent building with the total area of 15,600 square meters was erected in a significant place of the Belarusian capital in the Heroes Square next to the Stela Minsk, Hero City, and the museum and park complex Pobeda. Military parades and festive marches took place nearby along the Pope de Tele Avenue. The current premises of the museum are impressive not only due to their scale but also symbolism that reflects major milestones of the history of 1941 to 1945. The composition represents 4 main blocks to match the number of years of the war and the army fronts that took part in Belarus liberation. The front facade looks like a festive salute, 11 sparkling rays made of stainless steel to symbolize the great victory and at the same time 1,100 tragic days and nights of Minsk's occupation. The project of new museum premises. The front facade. The serious sheen of the metal used for the decoration speaks of the war, while the golden sparkle of the glass signifies the victory and the greatest treasure, that is peace. The design of the new museum premises gently combines stupendous features and modern technologies. Glass niches are complemented with wide plasma screens. Thanks to laser lights, the rays of the salute seem to penetrate the night sky, underscoring the overall outline of the entire museum premises. Directly above is a 45-meter stela Minsk Hero City. It was opened in 1985 for the 40th anniversary of the Great Victory. The sculpture Mother Motherland is located nearby. The Heroes Square is embellished by a fountain of 170 jets to match the number of Belarusian populated localities that were liberated by the Soviet Army during the war. Like us and join us at Extreme Collections for more fun and knowledge.